試験監督者は音量及び室内の聞こえ具合を確認してください。2023年度第3回実用英語技能検定1級リスニングテスト。ただいまから1級リスニングテストを行います。これからお話しすることについて質問は受けませんので、よく注意して聞いてください。なお、リスニングテスト放送中に音飛びや騒音があった場合は、発生した問題のトラックの始めに戻し、やり直します。しかしながら、万が一、教室監督者が気づかない場合は、速やかに手を挙げてお知らせ願います。このテストでは、テストの方法と注意事項がすべて英語で放送されます。
The listening test for the Grade 1 examination is about to begin. Listen carefully to the directions. You will not be permitted to ask questions during the test. This test has 4 parts. All of the questions in these 4 parts are multiple choice questions. For each question, choose the best answer from among the 4 choices written in your test booklet. On your answer sheet, find the number of the question and mark your answer. You are permitted to take notes for every part of this listening test. Now, here are the directions for Part 1. In this part, you will hear 10 dialogues, number 1 through number 10. Each dialogue will be followed by 1 question. For each question, you will have 10 seconds to choose the best answer and mark your answer on your answer sheet. The dialogue and the question will be given only once.
Now we will begin the Grade 1 listening test. Number 1.
My boss liked my new product design and presented it to upper management. It looks like it's moving ahead.
That's great. I hope he told them you were the one who came up with it.
You're kidding, right? He'll let them think it was all his idea, as usual.
That's not fair. You should spread the word that it was your design.
If I did that and he found out, he'd make my life miserable. Anyway, this way he'll get blamed if the product fails.
Question. What is one thing the woman says about her design?
Number 2.
Your proposal for a shopping mall on Springleaf Highway is intriguing. Can I see the blueprints?
Well, I actually have something better. I prepared a 3-dimensional reproduction based on the blueprints.
Perfect. That'll help me understand exactly what you envision.
It's a miniature version, but it shows off the structure more effectively than a drawing. Have a look.
Wow, there's a huge amount of detail here.
Yes, my staff did an excellent job on it.
Question. What are the speakers looking at? Number 3.
Hi, Mr. Ebbing. This is Cindy Gonzalez from the Agriculture Agency. You left a message asking me to call you back.
Yes, I'm writing an article about crop yields over the past few years, and I was hoping to confirm some numbers.
Our statistics are all in our quarterly online report.
Yes, but there's a discrepancy. The numbers for wheat and oats in the main report don't match what's stated in the summary.
Really? I can tell you that the summary is accurate, so please refer to that. I'll look into getting the report corrected right away.
Question. What does the man want the woman to do?
Number 4.
The management in this company is really messed up. I wonder if it's the same in other companies.
Well, there's more conflict among the managers here than at other companies I've worked at.
which explains the lack of cross-department cooperation.
Exactly. And that affects worker productivity and morale. The president should replace some of the troublemakers.
Now that you mention it, the president's lack of action is a more fundamental issue. He needs to make sure everyone's getting along.
I agree, but I'm not sure he has the leadership skills to do that.
Question. What is the woman's opinion?
Number 5.
I can't believe we've been working on this optimization project for over a year now.
I know, but we've made a lot of progress, and we're on schedule to complete it prior to the deadline.
Yes, but I'm starting to feel burned out.
Well, just keep in mind that this will save us a lot of work in the future. By automating all these processes, we can reduce our workloads significantly.
I hope you're right.
Question. What is one thing that the man says about the project?
Number 6.
I haven't seen your son around at the golf club much these days.
Oh, he's scrambling to meet his graduate school application deadlines. You know what a procrastinator Carter is.
Ah, yes. I remember he kept putting off his internship applications. Is he all right?
Actually, he's not sure if he can get all the reference letters he needs from his professors in time, but we have our fingers crossed.
Well, I hope he manages to get accepted to a good school.
Question. What is one thing that the woman implies about her son?
Number 7.
Oh, wow. The contrast between the light and dark elements in this artwork is striking.
Yes, the way they are arranged on the canvas really draws the eye to the center point.
What do you think the artist was trying to convey?
I think the use of light and shadow is the key to interpreting it. To me, it suggests a strong sense of optimism despite the darkness.
I can see that. You know, it looks a bit bleak at first glance, but it's actually quite inspiring.
I agree. It's a true masterpiece.
Question. What is one thing that the woman says about the artwork?
Number 8.
I'm trying to decide between two job offers. One is from a larger company with more stability, and the other is from a tech firm founded by an incredibly innovative woman I know.
Which are you leaning toward?
I'm at a loss. On the one hand, the larger company would definitely be the safer option. But if the tech company takes off, there's incredible potential.
Well, if I was fresh out of college with my entire life ahead of me, I know which one I'd take. Sometimes you have to gamble in life.
Question. What does the woman imply that the man should do?
Number 9.
Sean, remind me to call the daycare centre later today to tell them we want to enroll Nico 5 days a week.
I thought we decided to send him 3 days a week and take turns caring for him on the other 2 days, since both of us can work from home sometimes.
Unfortunately, my company just signed a long-term contract with a client that insists on face-to-face meetings. I'm sure I told you I couldn't commit to our original plan.
Sorry, I must have forgotten. I've been looking forward to spending some time at home with him during the week, and my work situation hasn't changed and isn't likely to. Why not just send him 4 days a week? That way, we'd still be saving a day's worth of daycare fees.
Do you really think you can juggle work and childcare? The more I think about it, the more I feel our initial goals were a bit too ambitious.
I think it's worth a try. I'm sure I can handle things if he goes 4 days a week.
Well, I don't have a good feeling about this, but I won't try to stop you. I'll let them know when I call later.
Question. What is the woman's opinion?
Number 10.
So, Karen, Nadia, do you have any opinions on whether we should promote Dario or not? Why don't you go first, Karen?
Well, I certainly can't fault his work ethic. He's often here until all hours of the night.
I've noticed that too. And despite his youth, people in the office seem to really value his opinions.
I felt his handling of the Kleiman contract was exceptional. Are we in agreement on that?
Yes. They're a notoriously difficult client, but I don't recall anything negative in their customer satisfaction survey whatsoever.
There is one thing I'm quite concerned about, though.
What's that, Nadia?
I've noticed that when there's a disagreement, Dario is very reluctant to compromise. He can even be a bit confrontational.
That's true. Some of the people in this section consider him a bully because he's so insistent on always having his own way.
To be honest, I have the same impression of him. Do you think you could offer him some feedback, Nadia?
Of course.
If he responds well, we can consider him for promotion again the next time we do a personnel review.
Question. Why do these people decide not to give a promotion to Dario this time?
Here are the directions for Part 2. In this part, you will hear 5 passages, A through E. Each passage will be followed by 2 questions, number 11 through number 20. For each question, you will have 10 seconds to choose the best answer and mark your answer on your answer sheet. The passage and the questions will be given only once. Now, let's begin.
A. Ex voto art in Mexico. Ex voto is a style of devotional Catholic art that began in 15th century Italy. Wealthy patrons who had survived a near-death event would commission professionally trained artists to paint a scene that portrayed a divine presence intervening to save them. Ex voto spread throughout Europe, and Spanish colonizers brought it to Mexico in the 1500s. There, it initially took hold among the upper classes, but in the late 1700s gained popularity among the common people, who often painted the pieces themselves. With this shift, ex votos began to be painted primarily on small tin sheets rather than canvas, as Spanish mining operations in the country had made tin widely and cheaply available. Although Mexican ex votos vary in painting style, they generally contain the same 3 elements: an image depicting the sufferer's misfortune, an image of the intervening deity or saint, and a short written narrative explaining what happened. Because so many ex votos were created in the wake of disease or injury, they constitute a remarkable record of medical conditions and procedures used to treat patients over the past few centuries. In fact, one ex voto from the 1770s is likely the first depiction in Western art of an operation to treat breast cancer.
Questions. Number 11. What is one way that Mexican ex votos changed in the late 1700s? Number 12. Why does the speaker mention the ex voto from the 1770s? B. Moving up in the world. Researchers in London have gained insights into the impulses that guide animals' behavior even before they have had any visual experiences. In a new study, researchers took chicks that had just hatched in total darkness and put them into a box, where each chick was shown 2 videos simultaneously, with one screen at each end of the box. One video showed a circle moving upward, and the other a circle moving downward. The chicks consistently tended to walk toward the upward-moving circle. According to the researchers, since only living things regularly move against gravity, the chick's preference suggests they have a built-in attraction toward other animals. While the chicks could be seeking their mothers, the researchers say gravitating toward other animals in general is a beneficial trait, as it would increase opportunities to build social connections. Previous research had shown chicks are drawn toward moving organisms, but it was thought that the complexity of the organism's motion was responsible for the attraction. The new study, however, suggests a simpler cue, movement against gravity, is sufficient to grab chicks' attention. Scientists hope future studies can focus on animals' brain activity so that more can be learned about how these built-in preferences develop.
Questions. Number 13. According to the researchers, what do the results of the study suggest about newly hatched chicks? Number 14. What is one thing the researchers suggest about chicks?
C. Rubisco. As the global warming crisis escalates, scientists are concerned about being able to produce enough crops in the hotter, more arid climate we face. One potential method for doing so is to improve the efficiency of an enzyme called Rubisco. Enzymes are proteins that help to bring about chemical reactions, and Rubisco is responsible for helping plants absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere as part of photosynthesis. Though essential, Rubisco is incredibly inefficient, as it frequently causes plants to absorb not just carbon dioxide, but also huge quantities of oxygen, which is not part of the photosynthesis process. The plant then needs to expend extra energy to deal with these unnecessary oxygen molecules. Scientists believe Rubisco evolved billions of years ago when carbon dioxide levels were far higher. Its ancestor, they believe, was more efficient at absorbing carbon dioxide than the modern variety is. If it were possible to alter the DNA of the modern form of Rubisco to make it resemble that of its ancestor, it would make the process of producing glucose more efficient. Since plants use glucose for energy, this would increase crop yields and could potentially compensate for problems caused by global warming.
Questions. Number 15. What is one thing that we learn about Rubisco? Number 16. What are scientists hoping to do? D. The modern job interview process. Recently, the increasingly complicated and time-consuming hiring processes at many companies have become a controversial issue in the business world. Applicants sometimes report being forced to attend as many as 5 to 7 interviews, as well as having to submit work samples that require hours of effort. While candidates are eager to find employment, many see excessive numbers of interviews as an indication the company tends to put its own needs before those of its employees. Furthermore, some express concern that their work samples could be used by the company without proper compensation or recognition, including as training materials for existing employees. From the employer's perspective, hiring the right person is a complicated process, and they see a need to do everything in their power to reduce employee turnover. Furthermore, some firms argue that providing more opportunities for candidates to showcase their skills and expertise allows them to demonstrate their qualifications in a more comprehensive manner. This can increase the chances of finding the right fit between the employer and the worker, which can ultimately lead to a more satisfying and fulfilling work experience for the employee.
Questions. Number 17. What is one thing that some applicants worry about during modern hiring processes? Number 18. What do some companies say in defense of their hiring processes?
E. The mystery of migraines. Migraines are often described as severe headaches, but their symptoms also include blurred vision and nausea. They affect around 1 billion globally, with around 1 in 5 women and 1 in 15 men experiencing them, and the pain they cause can be so intense that it prevents sufferers from functioning normally. They have a massive economic impact, as it is estimated they are the reason for tens of millions of missed workdays annually in the UK alone. Despite the prevalence of migraines, however, surprisingly little is known about their cause or how to treat them. One problem is that less money has been invested in migraine research than in research into other common health conditions. This is partly because migraines were historically dismissed as being a psychological rather than a medical condition. In fact, they started to be taken seriously only recently. A further issue is that most of the research was done using male animals, so it provided few clues as to why women are more susceptible. A more recent study, however, suggests a link between migraines and the hormone estrogen, which women produce in higher amounts. Other research has also raised hopes of developing a novel drug that will block the brain receptor that triggers migraines.
Questions. Number 19. What is one thing the speaker says about migraines? Number 20. What is one issue relating to research into migraines?
Here are the directions for Part 3. In this part, you will hear 5 passages, F through J. The passages represent real-life situations and may contain sound effects. Each passage will have one question, number 21 through number 25. Before each passage, you will have 10 seconds to read the situation and question written in your test booklet. After you hear the passage, you will have 10 seconds to choose the best answer and mark your answer on your answer sheet. The passage will be given only once. Now, let's begin.
F. You have 10 seconds to read the situation and question number 21.
Attention everyone. We have some important announcements, so please listen carefully. The 7:15 ferry to Whitmore Island has been held up due to engine trouble. Our engineers are working to fix the problem, but we expect a delay of at least 2 hours. Affected passengers can come to Window A to collect a voucher for a free breakfast at the Central Terminal Cafe. Due to this situation, The ferry bound for Mathers Island will make an unplanned stop at Whitmore Island to deliver equipment to our engineers. This will delay arrival by about 1 hour. If you have a tour or activity reservation that will be affected by this delay, please come to window B before boarding. The ferry will depart on schedule at 7:40, so please line up at Pier 2 by 7:30. We apologize for the inconvenience, and we hope you have a wonderful day exploring the beautiful offshore islands.
Now mark your answer on your answer sheet.
G. You have 10 seconds to read the situation and question number 22.
The beaches you'll be visiting are habitats for venomous jellyfish. The risk of getting stung varies with the season. You wouldn't need to wear protective clothing in June or July, for instance, as there aren't many jellyfish around then. But since you're traveling in December, it'd be wise to buy full-body stinger suits, which protect against jellyfish tentacles. Currently, if you buy one, you get another at half price, as long as it's the same brand. Over here is the Stinger Pro. It offers good protection at a reasonable price. Please note it only comes in adult sizes. On the next rack is the Go Water Suit. While the tag says it's for protecting against sunburn, it's made of spandex like the others, so it offers the same degree of protection against jellyfish stings. Finally, we have the Swim Easy. It's priced higher than the other two, but it's more comfortable and comes in a wider range of colors.
Now, mark your answer on your answer sheet.
H. You have 10 seconds to read the situation and question number 23.
The Barrett 500 and the Easy Clean are the current champions in terms of suction power. They'll pick up pretty much anything. The Barrett 500 is 20% off this week, so you could take it home for just $340. You'll easily get 45 minutes of cleaning time with it. The Easy Clean is just $250, but it loses its charge very quickly. The Floormaster 3 is quite well-rounded. It'll handle anything from dust to fur, and the battery lasts about half an hour. It's regularly $340, but with the $50 manufacturer's rebate, it's just $290. This model, the Filter King 3, has 30 minutes of battery life and is just $280, but it's somewhat lacking in the suction department, so pet owners and people with thick carpets tend to avoid it.
Now mark your answer on your answer sheet.
I. You have 10 seconds to read the situation and question number 24.
One popular podcast these days is Politics of the Present. It deals with the latest headlines and it's sometimes fascinating. Their fact-checking sometimes leaves a bit to be desired, though. I also listen to the Jerry Hauser show. He goes in-depth with extremely thoroughly researched commentary on politics. It seems like producing his podcasts is time-consuming, though, so information is sometimes out of date. News We Choose is a daily show on the latest developments in American politics. Its strong bias makes me doubt the reliability of some of their information, though. Finally, there's the Wendy Iyer podcast. She discusses a wide variety of topics. I wish she went into a bit more depth on some of the topics, but it's an awesome overview of the latest developments in national politics. I'd give it high marks in terms of factualness, too.
Now mark your answer on your answer sheet.
J. You have 10 seconds to read the situation and question number 25.
I'd like to give you some feedback on the list of colleges you showed me. I think it's good you've chosen to apply to college now rather than during your gap year, so you can take that time to focus on yourself. Marvis College emphasizes that they value the experience gained during a gap year. It's too bad they're cutting back on so many programs. They'll only be offering a single semester of study abroad by the time you start your freshman year. Corvain University, on the other hand, has a thriving overseas studies program with campuses in 10 countries. And there's no reason to believe they'd look unfavorably on your delayed admission. Ophelia College also offers numerous overseas studies options. However, they will require that you write clearly in your application essay about how your gap year will advance your personal growth. And since you're not yet sure how you'll spend the next year, that might be a bit difficult.
Now mark your answer on your answer sheet.
Finally, here are the directions for Part 4. In this part, you will hear an interview. The interview will be followed by 2 questions, number 26 and number 27. For each question, you will have 10 seconds to choose the best answer and mark your answer on your answer sheet. The interview and the questions will be given only once.
This is an interview with Guy Harding, who is a marketing researcher for a chain of big box stores.
Thank you for coming in today, Guy. We're delighted to have you.
I'm delighted to be here.
So, to begin with, could you tell us a little about your company?
Sure. I work at the headquarters of a national chain of big box retail stores. Big box just refers to the fact that the stores look like giant boxes, but we, like many other big box stores, carry all sorts of goods, ranging from clothing and toiletries to electronics and medicines. Our stores are intended to be a sort of one-stop shopping location with discount prices. To that end, we've recently expanded many of our locations to include groceries as well. As for myself, for the last several years, I've been involved in store location research.
Thank you. That's quite a lot. So, what does a store location researcher do?
Well, I said that I work at the headquarters, but in a sense, that's only half true. I spend a lot of my time out of the office, traveling across the country to scope out locations. We're a national chain, and we're always on the lookout for new markets that we can break into. So, someone, that someone being me, needs to research potential locations for new stores. There are myriad factors that go into making these kinds of assessments, but many of them can only be properly appraised by actually going out and seeing the locations for oneself.
Could you tell us more about those factors?
Of course. So, one of the first things we always look at is the competition. As we deal in a wide variety of products, lots of businesses fall into this category, making this a very time-consuming part of the research. But it helps us to gauge how active the areas surrounding a potential location are. Of course, too much competition is not a good thing, but if there are very few stores in an area, it suggests that the local economy probably would not be able to support our store.
How do you define surrounding areas in your work?
That's a good question. In our case, we operate under the assumption that our customers will drive for up to 20 minutes to reach our stores. In city areas, we are usually looking at something like a 10-mile radius around potential locations, but this can vary based on things like highway accessibility.
Earlier, you mentioned taking a lot of business trips.
Yes. Once we've determined that a location is promising based on the data we have access to remotely, it's time to check it out in person. Some of the things we look at during these visits include foot traffic and the overall atmosphere of the area. It's also common to do a little undercover snooping at competitors in the area to see what their strengths and weaknesses are and to get a sense of our potential customer base.
What do you look for in a customer base?
Well, because we are a discount retailer, we're usually looking at people in the lower middle and middle classes. And because our stores are designed for lots of shopping to be done at once, we also tend to focus on areas with a high concentration of families.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, that's our time. Thank you for sharing with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Questions. Number 26. What is one thing Guy Harding says about his company's stores? Number 27. What is one thing Guy does on his business trips?
Your time is up. Stop writing and wait quietly until the answer sheets have been collected.
では、時間です。筆記用具を置いて答えの記入をやめてください。これにて試験終了となります。公正なる試験実施にご協力いただきありがとうございました。質問がある方は直ちに試験監督者にお申し出ください。試験監督者に連絡いたします。これより最終の受験者数を確認してください。その後、回答用紙を回収し、枚数の確認を行ってください。なお、問題冊子は回収しません。受験者数と回答用紙の枚数の一致を確認してから解散の指示を出してください。受験者の皆さんは身の回りをよく点検し、忘れ物がないように注意してください。受験者の皆さんが退出するときは、別の教室が試験中の場合もありますので、声を出さず、会場出口まで静かに退出してください。それでは、解散の指示を出すまで静かにお待ちください。